It concerns me that you're not familiar with the core concept of due process applying to all persons as written in black and white in the Constitution.
As the first public defender who's ever served at the FBI as its director, I'm more aware of due process than any predecessor in my seat. You are delineating between removal proceedings and criminal acts. My job is to investigate criminal acts. That's what we do.
Well, Kash Patel went back in front of Congress as far as for the 2026 budget request, and the Democrats tried to throw their best blows at him, and Kash came out swinging. He embarrassed these Democrat left-wing extremists one by one. They were trying to call him out, and they were trying to go for those gotcha moments, and every single one of them, rather than being focused on the budget plans for 2026, rather than congratulating him on catching 3 people that were on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list within his first 100 days of Trump's term, his first 3 months. Nobody says anything about that. The thousands of busts that he and Pam Bondi and the thousands of people that they have round up, the drug smugglers, the human traffickers, a ton of the other people that they've been able to bust and do it in I'm talking about amazing fashion. No Democrat highlighted that. Not one of them spoke about it. What they focused on was making up lies and pushing propaganda about January the 6th. One congressional member even had the nerve that say that a police officer was unalived on that day, which is totally true. A police officer did pass away days later from a heart condition. It had nothing to do with anybody taking that person's life on January the 6th. The only person that did leave this earth was Ashley Babbitt. So let's get into Kash Patel as he dissects these people one at a time. I got 3 clips I want to let you in on where he put it in their face. Let's check out this first one with Patty Murray, the deranged liberal from Washington.
Gang cases, 3,000 cases against violent.
Well, that's not my question. We know that.
Well, you asked if I was weaponizing the FBI, and I am not. I'm giving you the hard, concrete examples of the men and women putting handcuffs on bad people, doing harm to our children and innocent Americans. But you
have placed on leave FBI employees responsible for the investigation of January 6th. That sounds political to me.
I have not placed anyone on leave who has not violated their ethical obligation or their oath to the Constitution.
So if they were investigating January 6th, you believe they were violating an ethical obligation?
Nope. I think the common theme here is you putting words in my mouth, and I'm not going to tolerate it, nor will the men and women of the FBI.
It makes you wonder, why are they so stuck on January the 6th? It didn't work. Trump was elected. I believe that they know deep down that it was so much hanky-panky going on. They're worried about people going to prison. And they know that Kash Patel, who investigated Russiagate, knows where the bodies are buried. They know that President Trump, who not only was the president, but has had ears to the ground this entire time, even while he was out of office, and they thought that he would never come back. Matter of fact, it's been unveiled that they have testimony, actual evidence that in the 2016 election, there were agents within the FBI corresponding with the Clinton people saying that there is no way that Trump will ever be president, and they were going to do everything within their power to make sure that didn't happen. Makes you wonder what happened to them, especially with the Clintons' body list. Somebody better check the names of those people and see if they still around. But this woman, all she wants to focus on is January the 6th, as if people that investigated January the 6th couldn't also do nefarious things or break the law, as if anybody who has an issue with Donald Trump is incapable of violating the law. And what they're trying to do is set the stage for, if they're being investigated, it must be just because Trump hates them in his weaponization, and it can't be because they violated the law. That's what they're setting the stage for. Just like Letitia James trying to act like, oh, it's just a baseless allegation of mortgage fraud and they're just after me. No, 2 things can be right at the same time. Yes, of course, they want to get some get back if possible, because what they did was wrong, but they're unwilling to do it if there's no there. But if there is smoke, they're searching for that fire. And when they find it, you dang on straight, they're extra motivated to do it for people who were a part of the witch hunt and the lawfare prosecution of President Trump.
Well, you did place on leave an analyst responsible for investigating Russia's meddling in the 2016 election. Is that politicization? Is that retribution?
No, not if she broke the law or the ethical guidelines. I don't know which case you're talking about, but that's the standard. And we will hold ourselves inwardly accountable, and we will not be strayed from our mission because people think we are politicizing the Bureau. If you want to talk about someone who was attacked by a weaponized Bureau, you're looking at him. And now he's the director of the FBI and he's cleaning it up.
Well, I would just say to everyone who's listening that the FBI needs to be focused on its mission to keep the entire country safe. It should not be weaponized for partisan political gain. Thank you,
We are.
Chairman.
And what's funny is how they talk about what the FBI should be focused on now when under Merrick Garland, that is all they did. They even went after their own. Remember, they raided Eric Adams twice once he spoke up about illegal immigration. Remember Cori Bush, the Democrat from St. Louis? She pissed off the wrong person. They went after her. Anytime you cross them, they're at you. And one thing I'll say about the Democrats, they don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Step out of line, and if they have the power and they wield that big stick, they're going to spank you. And here's the thing. Republicans, we have to vote and we have to represent, because if the Democrats ever get back in power, they're going to act as if that's why they're setting all of these things up, saying, oh, he's violating Supreme Court. He's not paying attention to this. No, he's not. They're putting these stories out so when they get a chance and they stomp on justice and they ignore it, they'll feel justified. These people are despicable. So let's move on to the next clip. And in this clip here, we got Kash Patel as he takes Madeleine Dean to the woodshed. And this lady, oh God, she really thinks that she's stumbling. Now, I do not like this woman. Check this out.
Agency.
If you enjoyed this video, do me a solid. Hit that like button. I'll never ask you for a cash app or a super chat. But you hitting that like button, it really does help get the information out there. And if you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe. And once you do, make sure you hit the notification bell and select all. That way, you'll be notified when I upload new videos.
I was an impeachment manager for President Trump's second impeachment. It was a sad, solemn duty.
Nigga, now another liberal woman politician, unmarried. These women, and I'm not saying unmarried women are miserable. Not saying that. Liberal, unmarried women, especially the older they seem to get, they are miserable people. And the reason why I say that, because they just speak with such vitriol and with just such hatred and such anger. There's no smiles. There's no happiness like this woman.
And so I wanted to ask you about that. Mr. Patel, as you and the president continue to weaponize and investigate his perceived enemies, as you follow this blueprint, when can I, a former impeachment manager, expect the FBI at my door?
Ma'am, you want to know who was targeted by a weaponized FBI? Me. You want to know how and why?
Well,
you want to know what I'm doing to fix it?
Let me move on.
Well, you should read the
Page
book, because there's no enemies list on that book.
So
There are people that violated their constitutional obligations and their duties to the American people,
That's good. You
and they
gave
were
them the
rightly
process.
called out.
I'm
And
changing
you should
topics.
give that book to every one of your constituents so they can
changing
read
topics.
about it.
I won't be doing that.
That's their loss.
During your Senate confirmation hearings, you repeatedly denied having any involvement as a private citizen in the firing of FBI officials who engaged in the prosecution against January 6th insurrectionists. The violent rioters who
Look at her
beat and
face.
killed Capitol police officers.
Now, she just said beat and killed, and I'll run that back so you can hear that.
Capitol police officers, and whom you referred to as political prisoners, killed Capitol insurrectionists. The violent rioters who beat and killed Capitol police officers.
See what I'm saying? Now, that is a bold-faced lie. And do you see such evil that she says it with? She has the nerve to say it as if it's fact and with such passion, and it's BS. And that's what they do.
And whom you referred to as political prisoners. Since then, multiple whistleblowers have come forward, and we know that you likely committed perjury. At the same hearing, you claimed you were not familiar with Stu Peters, an anti-Semitic Holocaust denier, despite the fact that you appeared on Mr. Peters' podcast 8 separate times.
Now, she wants to act like she cares about Jewish people. When we saw how Democrats think about the Jewish people with everything that's been going on with these universities, with everything that was going on with Palestine. So now she's going to act like she's, just so upset because a Holocaust denier, Kash Patel, might have spoke with him. It is so fake and disingenuous.
8 times, and you claimed not to recall. Mr. Patel, my second question is, should we worry more about your memory or your veracity?
We should worry more about your lack of candor. You're accusing me of committing perjury. Tell the American people how I broke the law and committed a felony. Have the audacity to actually put the facts forward instead of lying for political banter so you can have a 20-second donation hit.
The answer is both. I believe that
The answer is you're failing, not me. Go ahead.
They confirmed that now he can let loose.
Mr. Patel, I believe that the members of the FBI, and I know many of them, many retired, 38,000 people, as you say, it's a little less than that now, deserve the very best, deserve extraordinary independence, deserve freedom from the fears of being investigated, the freedom of coming forward to make sure they're doing their job.
Now, why should anybody be free of the fear of investigation? You see what they say? It's the little words they try to slip in there. No, just because you were against President Trump or you were a part of the January 6th witch hunt doesn't mean that you shouldn't be investigated. Just because you're a member of the FBI doesn't mean you shouldn't be investigated. So why should anybody have fear of being investigated? No, people should have fear of being wrongfully persecuted. They should have concern to make sure that they're not having the Department of Justice weaponized with lawfare. But everybody should be able to be investigated if there's wrongdoing. Now, you're really going to love this one. This is with our good friend, Van Hollen, the El Salvador King. And so let's check out him with Kash Patel. Well, Kash takes it to him, too.
Today of many individuals to process rights. Let me ask you a question about Judge Dugan. And I'm not going to get into about Judge Dugan.
Why is this man always on the wrong side? So first he was fighting for Abrego Garcia, went over there to El Salvador to have margaritas. And now you notice they're not talking about Abrego Garcia, especially since that video came out of his wife talking about how her life was in danger and his family was threatening her and she was afraid that he was going to take her life. If you're not aware of that, look it up. It came out and the media is not talking about it. Notice they're not bringing up Abrego anymore. You're not seeing any stories about him. Why? Because they also released that video of him in the vehicle with 8 different people who they believe that he was mafficking. Put the TR in front of the word, replace the M. You'll get what I'm saying, because YouTube has been really zinging lately, man. For any little thing that the Democrats represent, if we say it on a YouTube video, they try to zing the video and suppress it. So he was in the car with 8 people doing mafficking with the TR, though, you know, like when we drive in the road and we're stuck in it. So now the Democrats trying to run away from it. I had never even heard of this man until that whole situation. Now he's a laughing stock of the Senate.
Arrested, taken out in handcuffs from her courtroom.
Standing up for a judge.
You agree that as director of the FBI, you should lead by example, right?
Try to.
Okay. Well, there's a confidentiality and media contacts policy within the Department of Justice guidelines that says specifically that DOJ personnel should not voluntarily disclose a photograph of a defendant unless it serves a law enforcement function.
But yet they put out Trump's pictures of Mar-a-Lago, of the boxes on the ground that we found out later that the FBI agents that were working there then did it. You see how fake these people are? Yet they contacted the media before the raid on Mar-a-Lago, which is how TMZ and CNN were there at 5, 6 in the morning when Merrick Garland and the FBI team was getting ready to kick the door in Mar-a-Lago.
Or unless the photograph is already part of the public record in the case. Clearly, Judge Dugan's photograph was not already part of the public record in the case. So it appears that what you did was a violation of that policy, unless you can express a clear law enforcement purpose for having done that.
The simple law enforcement purpose is to show America that we investigate any individual who commits a crime, especially those in positions of public trust.
But do you agree with the presumption of innocence in the U.S. system?
Absolutely. As a public defender, that's what I fought for years. Well, but that's different than
no. But Mr. Director, this is one of the reasons why that guideline is there, so people, especially the director of the FBI, doesn't announce to the country that somebody's already been found criminally liable when they haven't. She hasn't had.
But they do it to Trump all the time. They did it to Trump for years. But now this judge who kicked out ICE agents, who helped smuggle an illegal immigrant out the back door of our courtroom, who was there for a domestic violence case, while the man and the woman who were brutally beaten sat in the courtroom and had to watch the judge who was litigating their case help this individual out the back. How did you think that made those 2 victims feel? Damn, if I see the judge who's overseeing the case where I was beaten help the person who I'm accusing out the back door, I don't have any faith in that justice system at all. And this man, rather than speak about the despicable acts of the judge, want to talk about the fact that her picture was shown, that she was pert-walked. She deserves to be pert-walked. Matter of fact, they should have put that camera right in her face like they do everybody else. Just because you're a judge or a senator or a congressional member, you're a human being first. And you do not get an opportunity to have your dirt swept under the rug while everybody else's is thrown out for everybody to see on Front Street.
But that's not what we said, that she was criminally liable. We said she was arrested.
No,
you showed it.
Yeah, we know she was arrested, but the issue is the photograph. I'm asking you, going forward, I hope as the leader of the FBI, you will comply with with the guidelines of the FBI that everybody else is expected to follow.
I believe I have, and I will going forward.
Well, this seems like a direct violation.
You can continue watching this online at cspan.org. We're going to leave it now to take you live to the White House.
Today.
I just wanted to jump in and bring that. As you saw, Kash Patel was handing it to him. They couldn't handle him. They don't have anything for him. And you know what? I'm just so sick and tired of the Democrat Party. It is really, really nerve-wracking to know that we have people in this country that think like that and act like that. And we got to vote these people out. But guess what? There's another generation of them coming up, just like we have another generation of us coming up. So we have to spread the word. If you're somebody who typically don't try to urge people to vote or get people to support Republican causes, we have to. These are not typical times. It is not normal. We all have to be vigilant and do our part. And I know you are. That's why you and I are here together right now. So if you watched up to this point, I really do appreciate you. I know you. You're an uncommon breed. That's why you're here watching this now. Like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear how you feel about it. Most importantly, you be safe and you stay great. I'm Brian Maxwell, saying I look forward to seeing you at the top. Over and out.